peace on my mind. Could you see so my mind don't erupt? At times I feel I can't get enough, but I sip a double cup and I spin a couple bucks. Sending out some love to my blood, to my girl, to my buds, to the homie up above.
Well, hello out there, great land of YouTube and all streaming lands. Welcome to the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. We're live Friday evening, 6:23, to discuss a 1990s classic called Arachnophobia. Now, if you've had the pleasure of seeing this film, great, glad you have watched it. If you have not, take the time and go watch this, people. It's a fantastic film. It's got humor, it's got horror, it's got killer spiders, it's got all the good stuff. Great cast, too, as well. Definitely go check it out, people. It's worth the watch. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, this came out in 1990. It released July 18th, 1990. I actually saw it 33 years ago, probably about a week after it came out in the theater, so end of July of 1990. And I've always loved this movie. It's one of my all-time favorite spider films besides Eight-Legged Freaks. And I thought it'd be just fun to discuss this amazing arachnid film and give you some great little tidbits about it, too, as well. So, to kind of just get us right into the material here, this was directed by Frank Marshall. This was actually his directorial debut. This is the first film he ever directed. His wife is Kathleen Kennedy, actually, and she actually was a producer on the film. And, of course, this has a great ensemble cast that consists of Jeff Daniels, John Goodman, Julian Sands, who is still currently, unfortunately, missing when he went hiking back in January of this year up in California somewhere, climbing some mountains. It's been 6 months since last anybody saw of him, and they're still trying to search for him. But he was in this film. You had Harley Jane Kozak in this film, and Brian McNamara, who is a great kind of like bit player actor that's been around and things. Stuart Pankin was in this film, and a whole bunch of great other actresses that were throughout this film too as well. But those are pretty much the big basics of the film. This was written by Don Jacoby and Wesley Strick. Now, Wesley Strick actually was a writer on films Batman Returns and the Cape Fear remake that they did in 1992. So this guy had, a pretty good resume of writing skills. So I thought that, he had some good writing when he wrote this film. And one thing about this film that Frank Marshall mentioned in his little making of film, he said he wanted to make a horror film that was not super scary, but he wanted jump scares, comedy, and a mixture of all those things to kind of just give an entertaining all around feel. He didn't want to make it like, let's gross the people out real bad. He wanted to give a good spider film, and he felt like there really hadn't been any good spider films in a really long time, And I would have to agree. I mean, Kingdom of the Spiders was a great film from the late 70s with William Shatner. And, that's, great. But anyways, so that's some basics of the film. So let's just go around the panel here real quick and get your first thoughts on the film before we really get into what the film is and kind of what went on in the film. What were you guys' thoughts on the film after watching it? I know this is your first time watching it, Joey. What are your thoughts on that, sir? Give me your overall thoughts just briefly, what you thought just, after your first viewing.
I mean, I guess just basically looking at the title of the movie, it didn't really. I'm more of a sci-fi person when it comes to movies, and this is like I guess a thriller comedy type movie. So I'm okay with them. Like I have to like get into like watching it. Like someone has to get me to watch it to see it, and it was pretty good. I was hooked. So it was one of those movies that you get invested too early, and you're gonna keep going because it keeps getting you. I guess I said it, invested. You start looking and it doesn't leave you bored. It gives you those moments where you're like, oh, what's gonna happen next? And then it's got some comic relief. I enjoyed it. I did like it, and I think it was pretty good for first time seeing it. An old movie.
Awesome. Awesome, sir. How about you, Jeff? Well, what was your first take, sir?
I'm tripped out that J-Rat never saw that bitch until now. Like, that's fucking intense. I'm telling you right now. Like, that itself is like fucking like what I'm trying to unfold right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen it.
No. I'm not holding it against you. I'm saying I can't imagine what it must be like to watch it now.
Yeah,
It's 2023, dude. I mean, it's so fucking old.
It was a movie. Yeah, it was a movie I definitely should have seen a long time ago. It's one of those to put in your library of movies. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
For real, dude. My body count was under a fucking the century mark at that point in my life. You know what I'm saying? So like, dude. I mean, we're talking about way back. So right. I mean, shit. And I didn't have my Bachta back then either. Fuck, that was rough for it. Old school, baby. No Bachta, nothing. Anyways, Cyber, I apologize for my my gaping holes in my posters in the background. I realize they stand out, but I'm working on it, baby. My inner
gaping holes.
My inner half of the closet interior decorator is coming out of me, baby. You know what I'm saying? But
what a choice of words to use.
It's all related to the fact that an old friend of mine in Cyber is fucking with me again and went down a troll and shit and whatnot. Hey, what up, Frankie? And he's fucking with me on Twitter, putting penises in my mouth and shit as if I don't talk that on my own. But anyways, no, it's crazy, dude. I can't imagine it, Joey. Like if I saw it for the first time now, I don't know what the hell I would think of it. I really don't. I mean, honestly, I'd probably be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like that was effective back then with the spider. How did people not see it or whatever? But watching it now, it didn't bother me at all. Just like it didn't bother me then. As a kid.
It wasn't so much about like they didn't see the spiders. That's not too hard to believe. The part that because like she.
Okay, the way that they're using the fucking camera, like it zooming in on it, it looks huge.
So yeah, so like the part where the town doctor, he puts his foot in the slipper. I mean, you're not gonna see that. You're not checking your shoes before you put them on. I don't think anybody does. I don't remember the last time I checked my shoes before. Maybe if I left them outside, I might. Hold on, let me make sure ain't nothing in here.
You have to. You have to, bro.
Now I'm gonna be looking. Make sure no snake or tarantula are out of there. But the scenarios where they got bit were believable. The parts that were hard to believe, and I think they explained it as that these spiders were smart. So like they were deliberately attacking and they were going for attack mode, because I don't think spiders actually do that.
No, they definitely. And Cyber can probably explain this better than I can. They definitely make it. They give it a distinct sense that like these are like a rare breed of spider. Like they're very specific and in their targeting. I never really understood if their premise was they actually were hunting humans or some shit. I never got that vibe, but they're obviously like smarter than your average spider.
They were definitely hunting humans. That's what it looked like. That's the impression I got.
Nah, man. I mean, honestly, dude. I remember one thing. Cyber. I'll tell you right now. I love to. I think it's cool to like look back and like try to imagine what it was like watching this when I was, I guess, 1999, right? Something like that, 8.5 or something.
Right, 1990.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I was born 82. So I've been 8, 8.5.
You would have been 7 before you got to 8.
Oh, okay.
Because this came out in July of 1990.
My bad. Well, I was doing some training at Tatooine recently, so like it fucked up my numerical, my counting and whatnot, right?
I think it's already fucked up.
On Tatooine. So now we're bringing Star Wars into this.
Well, yeah, man. Yeah,
he's got to always bring Star Wars into it.
I'm still dedicated to the Sand People, baby. What's up?
I knew that was coming next too. Sand People, Tatooine.
That's my shit, baby. You know what I'm saying? I love it. It does better than the desert, motherfucker. Anyways, but no, it's just like it's crazy to think to myself. I can't connect at all. Like, because this movie scared me that it did. I was like, fuck, man. Like, that shit freaked me the fuck out, man. You know what I'm saying? I was like, dude. Like I remember thinking to myself in that shower scene with the daughter of that asshole. What's his name there? Cop or whatever. Like thinking to myself, fuck, if that happened to me, I would not like it.
Right? It was the coach's daughter.
Okay, the coach.
Was he an asshole though? Because I felt like he kept getting picked on.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm just being an asshole.
Stuart Pankin is the sheriff.
Oh,
And
okay.
no, he was a bully, and so that's why they pick on him, because he picked on them when they were kids. And Canaima, that area, Canaima, it's a very family community, and they all grew up with each other, so that's why it's like that.
I kept thinking every time they would say Canaima, I could not help myself but think about vagina. You know, it's very
There
similar.
you go. There's the vagina talk, people.
I don't think there's anything that doesn't make you not think about it.
Well, penis.
Yeah, and I think that makes you think about it also.
That's true. It's very connected. Like connective tissue there, baby. But
All right. Well, thank you, Jeff. There. That was a great. That was a great. Giving us an explanation of your first thoughts of the film, sir. You know, including all these things that had nothing to do with it. Great job.
Jeff Bridges held it down, baby. He held it fucking down, dude.
Yeah, he was much younger then.
He just said Jeff Bridges. It's Jeff Daniels.
I'm sorry.
That's
Jeff
right.
Daniels.
There you go. You know what?
I fucked up the description, dude.
Oh my god.
That's all right. I'll just blame it. I'll
Wait,
blame
Jeff-
it. I'll
who's
blame it
Jeff-
the heavy, baby.
Who's Jeff Bridges though?
Jeff
Big
Bridges,
Lebowski.
the dude.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, totally
Jeff
different,
Daniels,
totally different human being.
Yeah, completely different.
Yep.
Yep.
But Jeff Daniels, yeah, he does look a lot younger in this one, skinnier too. And I was like, dang, how old is he in this? He's
Well, he
playing
was born in 55, so he would have been, 45.
He was born in 55.
Yeah. He looked damn good for yeah. He literally looks like he's like in his early 30s in this film.
So how old would he have been there? You said 45.
45. Yep.
God dang, and he's been in movies not even that long ago, right? No, wait.
Not 45. 35. I missed that.
Shit,
I was
you
like-
kidding me?
I was
J-Rap,
actually-
35.
he was acting in the 70s, dude.
I'm actually getting him confused with Jeff Bridges now.
Jeff Bridges was acting in the
They look
70s.
way different.
I was thinking, damn, how old was he when he was in Tron?
Jeff Bridges was actually Jeff Bridges was a popular actor back in the 70s at that point already.
I think.
Jeff Bridges was born in 49.
Oh, so they're not that far apart.
No, 6 years. 6 years apart. So Jeff Bridges born in 49, 59, 69, 79. So he was 33 when it came out. Probably 32 when they filmed it in 82. So
Probably friends.
Long story short, it's just one of those things where I can unravel it and talk about it forever. But there's something about movies they made in the 80s and 90s, that, late 70s, that have a certain vibe to them.
Yeah.
They went about storytelling and writing and whatnot and everything, and the way they produce these certain movies in a way that you just don't get anymore, right?
I agree.
And I just don't I can't. I mean, you know what? Maybe this is just a part of evolving as a society, and
You can't put your finger on it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was about to say, are we really evolving? I should maybe we're regressing, whatever. Either way, no, I mean, things change over time, right? It is what it is. You got to entertain people, so you have to change certain things, and of course, it's going to happen with cinema and with movies. But still, there's certain things that directors and writers could pull off, where they could have something as simple, a premise as simple as a spider, right? Facilitate a film the way they did, delivered in this, right? And it works so well, right? Such a simple premise. You know what I'm saying? It's almost Hitchcockian to be able to have that ability to take something small and make it scary, right? By just using different camera shots, different angles, you know what I'm saying? Different lenses and whatnot, focusing in and out, using music, building up tension, suspense. It's just very well produced film, well directed, good casting.
all right, thank you. All right, so just to kind of get us started in the film, so the movie starts off. We're in Venezuela. A photographer named Manley is sent there to basically be a photographer for this bug guy, or this, basically this bugologist, as you want to call him, who's played by Julian Sands. And basically the whole beginning of the film is we get introduced to Manley, we get introduced to Julian Sands' character. and kind of a little bit of his crew. They go down deep into Venezuela's forest, and they basically smog a tree that's in the forest to get different samples of different bugs. We end up seeing all kinds of different bugs fall down. We see butterflies, we see little bugs, and all of a sudden, in a couple of the collecting jars, all of a sudden they hear big thumps. And basically, when they go over, it's a tarantula of some sort that has popped into there. And so they looked at it and everything, and they're like, oh, okay, and they go to put them into other jars and stuff like that. And Manley goes to take a photograph of one of them that looks dead, and all of a sudden it jumps onto his camera, and he flies it off and stomps on it. And of course, Julian Sands is all upset. You killed it. It could have been. It's a new species. And then all of a sudden, one of the dead ones that they put in the jars is alive too, and they're like really surprised that it's still alive because that should have killed it. Because most arachnids don't have very that would kill it. And so they decide to collect a few more and take it back with them. So they go back to the campsite after what they've collected. And at this point, at this time, we see a few little different scenes where a spider jumps into the backpacks and stuff that they're carrying back to the campsite. We see this great puppetry that they throw in there, which you can totally tell it was a puppet, which was super hilarious. But I love it. I think it's great. I think that it still did its purpose. They got the point across that it was a spider jumping in. And we go back. Manley is fighting some sort of fever, and he's all feeling sick and stuff like that. And so Julian Sands tells him to go lie down and get some rest. So he goes back to his little tent, gets into his tent, takes some aspirin, lays down, covers himself up, and is laying there. And of course, that's when we get some really creepy music, and the spider makes its way to his tent. And all of a sudden, we see something crawling underneath his blankets. He lifts up his blanket and puts his hand down there, and he gets bit in the hand by the spider. And of course, it shows the spider bite into his hand. And all of a sudden, he basically seizes and dies. And so they hear him go, going like that. And the one guy that's working with Julian Sands, he's like, Professor! And Julian Sands comes in and checks him and realizes he's dead. And basically they end up sticking him into a bamboo coffin to send him back, and notified his next of kin that he died, unfortunately. And as they're putting him in the casket and putting the casket and closing it up, we see the spider sneak in. And basically that's how the movie opens up. Mm-hmm. So let's get everyone's thoughts on that beginning intro to the film. What were you guys' thoughts on it? What did you think about the animatronic spider we get to see? Do you think that the fake spiders looked pretty real when they made them look like they were dead? And what did you think about how the whole film starts off, giving us kind of that little backstory or little intro to how the spider makes its way to America and stuff like that? And what did you think about the introduction to Manley? What did you think about Julian Sands' character and all that kind of good stuff? Starting with you, Joey.
Well, it was a good intro to explain right off the top where the spiders are from, in relation to where this movie is going to lead up, because, in everyday life, we don't know spiders like that. So for a crazy killer spider to come out of nowhere, this gives you that answer from the beginning. We're in the jungle. They explain to you that it's a secluded part right away, the untouched, untapped area. And they go there to talk about bugs. We know the movie's about spiders. I'm sorry. They do the whole, flog up the tree to make all the, bugs drop. We get the spider. We see it. Guy freaks out because it didn't kill it. So whatever, these bugs are like super spiders. They don't die with regular, bug killer. It was a good opening, and I mean the fact that you explain it at the beginning sets up the movie. So they set it up early. You know what happened. You could tell right away that spider was like eyeballing them, because like they showed it that right eye at the beginning. They were looking at what they were doing, and they're like this, and they tell you a couple of times. I think maybe once or for sure it was at least 2 times that they had no reproductive organs, right? And that there must be one spider that makes all these soldier spiders. They bring that up at the beginning of the movie, and I think that point that they brought up is important in the end game. And I guess whenever we get there, I'll bring that up. But at the beginning, they bring that up that those they don't have any reproductive organs, and those are like soldier spiders. Him getting sick, I'm guessing that's just from being in the jungle, and then the spider biting him. We clearly see, he jumps into that little sack when they were leaving the jungle, and it sneaks in that this was the spider's plan to get out of there. So it was a good opening. Like I said, it starts the story off to know where we're going, how we're getting there.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Sir Jeff, same question, sir.
Yeah, I mean, again, great pacing. I don't want to say I'm not going to say that it's a trope that's very 90s-ish or something like that, or very something that only happened in the 80s and 90s. But having an intro like that where they do go off grid, right? They're in the jungle and shit and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? It's very it gave me vibes of like some other films from that era, those decades. So that time period that had similar, what I'm saying, cyber-like tropes where they started or ended films sort of that way, right? Think like Congo. Think about like what was the one with Dustin Hoffman? Where they have he works for the CDC. Outbreak, right? How they start off and like they're in Africa and all that shit. That type of deal. I like that. I think that's really cool. Like the change of geography. You know what I'm saying, right, Jay? Right? Really, the different setting and whatnot, all that.
Yeah,
it's nice. It gives a nice contrast.
Outbreak did that too. Where they tell you at the beginning what happened.
Yo, Outbreak is fucking dope. You know what I'm saying? But hey, that's another movie to review for another day, though. Of course, we can't blend it into Arachnophobia because it just
no, yeah. But I just thought about that too because it starts off like the same way with the disease, and then how it starts with the monkey, and then the travel.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. No, there were several films that came out in the 90s that have sort of intros that go in that direction. I'll tell you, Julian Santos has his fucking vibe, man. He's really good at playing these shady ass characters, right? Where like you kind of want to believe that he means well and he's a good guy, but at the same time, he always has his own fucking agenda. Right? Like you almost can't tell like what the fuck he's trying to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? He does that good. That shtick. Right? Like we just can't tell what the fuck what's going on with him.
Is that the you're talking about the zoologist or doctor? What is he? What is he?
The guy where the spider fucking like knocks his ass out, like
a pestologist.
Like fucking like Shuri as the Black Panther knocking out fucking Yabla or
what is his title? I mean, he's a doctor, right? He's what is it? What kind of biologist? No, I'm talking about like his job where he's like a scientist, but there's a word for it.
Isn't the study of spiders an actual fucking I was gonna say.
I hate
it's title. Yep. No, I believe it is a arachnologist or something like that.
No, he wasn't there to study spiders though. He was studying all these bugs, like different bugs.
Oh, I thought he was looking for Waldo, maybe.
He was looking for the one ring.
Or he looked for the scrolls. The scroll of Asia, who knows? But no, he's good at that shit. And Warlock was a dope movie too. I love that movie from the 90s. Good ass movie. Seriously.
They're called an entomologist.
Entomologist? Okay. I won't remember that after today.
See, they should have went with the arachnophobist or whatever, but no, that's better. Personally, they should have $2 around there about that.
But he was looking at butterflies too. Remember, he was like, he's like, look at this butterfly. This is a different. This is a new species of butterfly.
He was pressing his feminine side, J-Rat. What's up?
Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. Awesome. All right, to give just a little bit more info about the film, when this film was made, it cost $22 million to make. And it ended up taking in $53.2 million at the box office, which I thought was pretty good, sizable for 1990. If you were to like inflate that to today's standards, I mean, that would be like a $500,000 movie. So I think that that was pretty good for its time in 1990. Just to give people an idea about these spiders in this film, the spiders they end up using are called a flat huntsman. They are native to Australia and Tasmania.
Yep.
They're also known as Ambidola spiders because that's the part of Tasmania they actually were bred in. But these spiders, they picked them specifically for the film because they showed the most friendliness and not harmful to humans, and were the easiest to work with too, out of all the spiders they tested. Plus, also their size was a good size too, because they wanted the spiders to look a little larger. Because most huntsman spiders, if you ever see them, you ever look at them up online or any of those spiders over there in Australia, they're huge spiders. They're like 3 to 4 inches wide. So I mean, these are big spiders. So the spiders in this, I think, grow to an average of 52 inches in length. So I mean, they're a pretty big spider.
God dang!
Bug Wars features them all the time. Cyber, they do.
What?
Bug Wars, the show or whatever, whatnot on YouTube. The Bug Wars shit, where they face off insects and shit, whatnot. They focus on that.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. I never heard of that.
Wars. Nice, thanks.
That's a new word I never knew. But yeah, they were picked. They were picked because of specific things. Because of that, because they worked really well. They used, like I said, 300 spiders for this film. That's how many spiders they ended up using of those types of species. They also used a couple of live tarantulas for some of the close-up shots we see throughout the film as well. And then most of the rest of the spiders you see in the film are animatronic spiders, especially the ones that explode and all that kind of good stuff. But the cool part about this is that they actually ended up using Lemon Pledge. They used Lemon Pledge to get these spiders to go where they wanted them to, because that's a lot of what people were wondering. How did they get the spiders to move in the direction they want? Well, for some reason, the huntsman spiders don't like the smell of the Lemon Pledge. So what they would do is they would make a line with the Lemon Pledge in between where they wanted them to walk, and that's how they guided them, along with cold and hot heat from air dryers. So that's how they got them to do what they did in the film, which I thought was a really cool little thing to know.
So you said they had 300 spiders.
Correct. They used 300 spiders.
How many?
Just like the movie 300.
How many of those spiders at the end of the movie were left?
300 spiders.
You think so?
That they didn't kill any of them. Yeah, they
really?
Yeah, they couldn't because of what do you call it? FEMA and the Animal Protection Agency.
PETA.
Yeah, stuff like that.
PETA, does that still count for spiders?
Well, spiders are an animal.
Are they? They're an insect.
Yeah.
Well, but are you sure? I think you can squash ants on TV or squash bugs.
Spiders are actually a very they have an important role.
You think if I were to make a video, like some content of like doing a slow-mo of squashing a cockroach, that he'd get taken down?
Possibly. Not in this day and age. Back then, no. Back then, I don't think anybody would have given a shit. But for my reading and for my research, yeah, they didn't lose any spiders. They saved all 300 spiders because of how big they were.
I guess in the grand scheme of things, it sounds like that's hard, but maybe because if you break it down into like scenes and you got them all caged up and like, okay, get 3 out, and then you do a scene with one. I guess a lot of the scenes were just with one spider, right?
Think about it. Yeah. I mean, the only scenes that really had a lot of them was at the end of the film.
Yeah. There you go. That's true.
But yeah, that's how they moved around, people. That's how they used them in the film. And that's the type of spider they use. So just a little information for you guys on there. Little tidbits. Mm-hmm. All right, so movie moves on. So basically after Manley gets shipped back, that's when he arrives at the morgue in Canaima. We're introduced to where his hometown of Canaima. We're introduced to where the rest of the film would take place. He arrives. The mortician opens the box, realizes that the whole carcass is freaking decimated. desiccated and that it's been drained of blood. So he ends up calling the relatives of Manly to let them, I think, open casket's a little out of the jurisdiction here, because I don't know how they do things over in Venezuela, but their preservations aren't as good as ours. And at that moment, as he's talking, so we see the spider escape from the box after he has basically sucked every last drop of blood from the body, which, seems logical. That's what spiders do. And he starts making his way out of the morgue out to the outside. And then that's when a crow comes flying down and picks him up. And the crow starts flying away with him. And then all of a sudden the spider bites him. And basically the crow dies and ends up falling down by where the Jennings have bought a new place. And we see the spider after the crow falls down, and it goes, shh, and they, of course, make that great spider sound, which, all spiders make that sound, which, you got to make that sound. And
what fucking sound?
It has a sound every time that the main spider is in the film. It has some weird sound. It's like a hissing sound, which
I know makes a squealing sound too.
I know some spiders can hiss, some tarantulas can hiss, but it's just kind of funny that they had this one. Let's have them hiss.
Yeah.
And we're basically at that point we're introduced to the Jennings family, which is Jeff Daniels, Harley Jane Kozak, Garrett Ratliff Henson, and the gal that plays the daughter, who actually only did 2 films, along with doing Arachnophobia. She only acted a couple films and then left the acting scene. But it's still pretty funny. I think that this young girl, she always looked kind of funky when I remember watching her in this movie, and I was like, wow, she kind of looks like she has some sort of some sort of dwarfism or something when I saw her in this movie recently. Anyways, I was like, I wonder if she has some. So I researched it to see if she had anything, and she doesn't. She just looked like that, I guess. But anyways, but yeah, she was an interesting little actress. I thought she did a pretty decent job in the film. But I think that whole family, there is a really, really greatly hired or casted family there. Jeff Daniels and Harley Jane Kozak and Garrett Ratliff Henson, which for the longest time I did not realize that was one of the kids from the Mighty Ducks until within the last 10 years. I was looking at him going, he looks so familiar, and I finally researched it, and it was him, one guy from the Mighty Ducks films. And but basically we're introduced to their family. They have just bought this house, and basically they're just moving in, and they're kind of introducing themselves and stuff like that. And the son is playing with his baseball, and the baseball drops down by where the dead crow is, and he basically calls out at one point and says, "Dad, there's a dead bird over here," and he's like, "Oh, don't touch it, and leave it alone." And he's okay, so he grabs his ball back, and we see the spider for a brief second. And basically they, like I said, they make their way into the new house and kind of show it off and show the cellar a little bit and the barn. And basically that's when after they're introduced, we're introduced to the doctor of the town, who is retiring to give Jeff Daniels' character to be the new town doctor, and he ends up saying that he's not going to retire, which leaves Jeff Daniels with only one patient, which is his next door neighbor, Margaret. And basically they end up having their first wonderful little meeting, and she's not riddled with anything. She's on blood pressure medication she shouldn't be on, and he ends up taking her off of it. And basically in between, of course, we have he has this, he tells his wife Harley Jane Kozak, I got good news and bad news. I have one patient. I'm seeing my first patient tomorrow, but it's my only patient because Dr. Metcalf is not retiring. And so basically we kind of get introduced to this kind of a little bit of these people from the town, and some of them are kind of crackpots a little bit. And so after that, basically that's at that point we kind of get our first kind of next victim by this point, after Margaret goes with the checkup. She's like, we'll throw a party for you when it gets a little cooler out to get you introduced to everybody. And he's like, okay, and all that kind of good stuff. And basically, we'll stop right at that point there. What were you guys' thoughts on the introduction of Jeff Daniels and his family? What were your thoughts on the introduction of Mr. Metcalf, Margaret, the next door neighbor as well? And just what were your thoughts kind of, on that little intro there to Canaima leading up to kind of that party that they have for Dr. Jennings after Margaret suggested? Starting with you, Joey.
Well, to be quite honest, if I'm gonna have a critique, this part of the movie was kind of like the duller part of it. It was like, so we saw the dead bird, and we now we know how it got to where it's at. It's gonna be at the spiders in its destination, and then we see Jeff Daniels, and so now we're introduced to the main character of the movie. And we see the house. We understand we just moved here. He's introduced as a doctor, and then we see the one patient, and we see the party that was going on. So it was kind of just an introduction of the main characters, because like we went over the first part where it tells us how the spider is going to get from A to B. And those are not our main characters. Those are just those. Those are side characters. I guess the antagonist, the antagonist is like the spider, right? So the antagonist is like the spider,
right?
And the protagonist would be Jeff Daniels. We get to see him, and we get introduced to him. So this part didn't really like entertain me that much. But I was still invested because I was like, okay, I've never seen the movie, so I get, okay, the spiders ended up here in his house. So let's see where it goes from here. So it was kind of, I don't want to say filler, but I wanted to see where it led up. So it didn't do too much for me, but it was important information.
Excellent. Thank you, Joey. Jeff, same question, sir.
Yeah, I mean, they were adding context to the film, right? Like, just layering it out and everything and whatnot, right? I thought that, hey, what do you really what can you expect from the minimal the lines and impact and scenes they gave the kids and the wife, what I'm saying, and whatnot. I forgot the name of the actress. I mean, I know who she is. I've seen her in other films and whatnot before, that plays his wife. She doesn't really get to talk as much. I mean, she has a solid role in the film. Don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is just that they service the family, they service the kids, they service his role as a husband and whatnot, and everything as an accompanying part of his role, his arc in the film, right? It's an accompaniment almost, but it's not like a pivotal thing to me where I was like, oh, this is fucking killing it for me, the family's now here and whatnot, everything, right? No, but it was good. It was a good angle, right? It added to the whole fear, right, and the terror, and like and fueled him. You know what I'm saying? It gave him a reason to want to fight it, throughout the film and whatnot, and defend his family, right? And again, we do get introduced to John Goodman, so you can't really go wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, dude just basically kills it. So, he's really the only. I think he's the only character in the film that really does add any real humor. That's really solid, legit, humor, or entertaining. Like in a weirdo John Goodman way, right? Like crazy as fuck bug guy, exterminator dude, John Goodman. Yeah. Vibes. See what I'm saying? There's really nobody else in the cast out of everybody in the film really that has that. Jeff Daniels, his character is not funny.
I don't know that his character was supposed to. Well,
no, it's not. No, he's a straight man. No, he is. He's just total straight man. But no, I'm just saying that he can be funny, right? I mean, obviously he's proven he can. It just depends on his character and how you play him. But no, I mean, like Jaron said, it's not filler, but it does sort of slow down a little bit, right? After like a really great start, you know, and also that first play at the football practice, right?
We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay. All right, good. I'll save it. I'll save it then.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the warning.
Don't make me bitch slap you, bro.
I could have went Andres on your ass and fucking like jumped fucking to like the last.
You
like,
would. You
80%
would.
of the fucking film right now.
Yep, you could. Anyway, so yeah, you all make great points. Great, thank you guys. Very, very well done. Yes, I would say that a lot of this is like, it's not filler, but it is to give you more information, kind of get you a little bit of information, like what's going on in the situation in this town leading up to, this whole debacle that ends up happening. And at this point too is when we see the Venezuelan spider mate with a domestic spider and create his offspring, which end up being like the same type of like drones we saw at the beginning of the film in Venezuela. And that's when the huntsman spiders, the Amendola spiders, come into play here. We finally get to start seeing them versus just tarantulas. And so basically after, the spiders mate and make the offspring, which the offspring end up actually devouring the female domestic spider, and start making their way out into the world, panning out. And of course, at this point too is when we see Harley Jane Kozak. At one point, she goes out into the barn and sees the giant web up in the barn and starts taking pictures of it. And basically, she like says to Jeff Daniels, "You got to look at this. It's so cool. Help you with your arachnophobia." Because we have established that, Jeff Daniels' character, Ross Jennings, and his son both have arachnophobia. And so she said, so basically she's like, "This will help you with that." And he goes up there and checks out the web and thinks it's so cool. But then, of course, hits a piece of wood and then it throws like a something that the spiders has sucked on and drained all the blood out of, and freaks him out. And he ends up falling down and he runs out of there and they kind of have a little laugh and stuff like that.
So I hate to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. But what? It must have been when I was watching that part, I must have been looking at my watch to see what time it was, that I missed the part that they said that he had arachnophobia.
Yeah, well, it's earlier. It's earlier in that part of the film.
But didn't he grab a spider with his hand? No, he grabbed the spider with his hand, threw it out the window, didn't he?
No, that's a cricket.
Well, but so wait, I thought he actually grabbed the spider too, though. Wasn't it the spider? You sure? It was just
I'm 100% sure it's a cricket, because that scene happens later on after the deaths started happening.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go look at it again. I could have swore it was a spider.
No. Nope.
Okay. All right.
He doesn't grab a spider.
I trust you. I believe you. Okay.
He grabs a spider at the end of the film when he's battling the main bad spider, but not until that point. Because the mother, if you're thinking of Harley Jane Kozak grabbing that domestic spider, probably that she puts in the napkin and then brings to the barn. She picks up a spider, but he doesn't.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Okay. Yeah, I must have. Again.
It's all good.
Well,
that's because women are better than men, man. What the fuck?
They're what? I had one of those. Yeah, I didn't even hear Jeff, so.
You don't worry, you didn't miss anything.
That's okay. It's all good. I'll be okay.
All right, so then after that, that's when they throw the party for Jennings that Margaret said that she'd throw, and he gets introduced to a whole bunch of people at this party. And that's where he's introduced to the coach that says, "Hey, come by the locker room down at the high school, and I'll throw some business your way." It's like, "Oh, thank you, And so they have the party there, and Margaret's all happy. She got to introduce them and stuff like that, and they had a good time. And all of them, of course, leave. And then we go back to see Margaret in her house at night, and she's finishing up for the night, drinking some milk and stuff like that. And she's looking at a picture. I think it's her late husband. And she's like talking to it, and she goes to turn off the light, and a spider pops down and bites her. And then it goes to Jennings at his house, and it's the next morning, and he's messing with his wine cellar that he's trying to put together and stuff like that. And he starts to put nails into the wood, and all the wood is rotted, and it's all rotted. And he's like, basically goes upstairs to warn them about the nails and stuff like that. And that's when the wife tells him, I've been trying to reach Margaret all morning, but her phone's been busy, and maybe you should go over and check on her. And he's like, she's probably just talking to everyone, gabbing. And so he ends up going over to check on her, and he's knocking on the door, and he's like, Margaret. And then he looks to the side, and he sees that he's all that she's on the floor. Something's wrong with her. And he goes in, of course, and they find out that she's dead. And of course, the coroner, the mortician's brought in and everything, and to take her away. And of course, that's when the older doctor shows up and is like, yeah, she was on high blood pressure medication. She had high blood pressure and all this kind of stuff, and like making all these accusations about Ross Jennings and how he was a horrible doctor and all this, basically trying to get people not to go to him and stuff like that because he's trying to keep his practice. And that's Stuart Pankin's there, the sheriff and stuff like that. And basically they end up suggesting she died of a heart attack. And
blames him.
And so after that, and they of course they have a funeral for her, and they do the whole funeral thing. And that's when he ends up going to the school and does a examination of the students. And they're all he does that, and then they go out and start playing practice. And one of the guys is on the sidelines. And because one of the other guys gets sent out because he's being smart talker, and he's like, whatever his name is, he's like, you ready? He's like, I know it like the back of my hand, and basically runs out and goes and is about to do the play, and during the middle of the play, all of a sudden we see him like go and like bite his mouth guard, and they all pile on top of him, and then they get all up, and he doesn't, and that's when Daniels runs over to check him out and starts performing CPR because he stopped breathing. And so I don't know what the fuck is so funny.
The whole scene is fucking funny as shit to me.
I'm laughing at Jeff's background that he decided to put on here.
Okay. Anyway, so once again, another person has died suddenly out of nowhere after that was just being examined by Jeff Daniels, and basically we have another funeral. And that older doctor's talking trash talk about him again. And basically, they leave it, they're like, oh, what the hell, and that's when Jeff Daniels starts to get more suspicious about, like, why are these people all of a sudden dropped dead? All of them were fine, healthy, nothing was wrong with them. They shouldn't have just died all of a sudden of a heart attack or a seizure. And that's when he starts kind of questioning things going on in Canaima. So before we move past that, let's talk about this whole sequence. Margaret dying, being attacked by the spider, and then, of course, the football player being bit by the spider in his helmet, and all that kind of good stuff. The funerals and the introduction of the coach. What were you guys' thoughts on this section of the film? And what did you like about it? What did you hate about it? What was your thoughts and all that kind of good stuff? Starting with you, Joey.
All right. Well, from that point forward, with the wine cellar part, that part was kind of funny, where he was trying to put the nails through, and it went through, and he was like, and he tries to put it through on a different part, and like went through, and he just with his hand he broke it. I found those little things kind of humorous. Or then when it went through the floor, and I was like, ooh, afraid someone was gonna step on it, just looking at it on the ground, and then he goes up there and finds out about it. And then they talk about the neighbor, and she's not answering the phone. I thought that was kind of like one of those plot scenes, plot things that get going, like, oh, just call the neighbor. Hey, she's not answering. Maybe you should go check up on her. Because in reality, nobody does that. Nobody. And if you do follow up with them and the phone's busy or whatever, you just like, all right, whatever, and you blow it off, right? You try to get a hold of someone that's busy. You blow it off, you call them the next day or an hour, a couple hours later. But that was kind of like forced on it. Anyway, not a big deal. But I noticed that. All right, let me go check up on her. Find her. She's dead because of the spider. And we talked about this earlier about the these people did not see these spiders. How come they didn't see these spiders? But I mean, it was, just from the standpoint, I guess if these spiders are going to attack you, the positions they came from, it's not like you're looking under the lampshade anyway. Those are things you don't do. Well, I guess yeah. I'm trying to think of a lampshade. If I'm going to it right now to turn the light on, I'm usually like looking for the little things. So yeah. I mean, she kind of went in there and then got bit. So maybe that wasn't a anything to really a deal breaker for me. Like, oh, that was dumb. I was like, okay, she got bit. Then she died. She's like, oh, and then they find her dead. The doctor, blames him. What was she on medication? Oh, I told her to get off of them. I'm gonna, this is your fault. I'm gonna try to get you for malpracticing, and the guy's like, sure, whatever. And fast forward, we get to the part with the locker room scene. You forgot the locker room scene where he had to give everybody a physical.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what's going on with that. What is the dude's doctor doing fucking anything?
He was giving them a physical for sports. You got to go over there, put your hand under their junk, and that's why everyone was like, coffee. And he's like, just there, like. Then he goes to the next one, and I found that part kind of humorous for whatever reason. I just like this. Look on his face too, because he's like. Yeah, as he was going next one. So anyway, didn't really, look into the attitude of the kids too much. It's like, okay, yeah. Where's the spider? We know spider's going to come out when they're on the field. And of course we see it right away. It's under the seat, and it gets out. He gets into the helmet, which is not a spider-like thing to do, right off the top. These spiders are quick whenever they're going to where they're getting, and that's one of the things I noticed is that, like, okay, it would take a while for a spider to travel to get into somebody's hat. But then again, these are not normal spiders. These are killer spiders. They're trying to be sneaky to get into inconspicuous spots to kill. And so that's what the first one did. That's what this one's doing. So then it got into the helmet, a place that I don't know if you're a person you're looking into either when you're putting on a hat or a helmet. And I'm trying to think whenever I put on a hat, typically, I don't know if I'm looking inside, because this guy did not look inside that helmet at all. You would have seen that fucking spider for sure. I think I would have looked inside the helmet. That guy didn't do it. He just went in the field and he was like straight down. And how do you not crush a spider in that helmet? I don't know if there's that much room. I guess there's some padding inside, like, I think inside of a football pad, it's got like little square paddings all the way around. So there's like lines in between everything. It's not like a full padding. There's like I don't want to say breathers, but so I'm guessing it's in between there. Goes for the play and he's like, the football hits him in the head or whatever, and then he on the ground dead. Conveniently when they take off the helmet. Did he come out first of the helmet? Oh, no. Did you see the way they took off the helmet too? At the end of that, if you notice, they didn't really take it off like a typical way you'd rip off a helmet. They did it like nice and smooth. So I wish I could have something visual. I do. I have something. So he was like this on the ground, right? And when they took off his helmet, they literally went like this, right? Where they didn't take it off, where they threw it off and then like it flies or goes open, because the guys on the ground, they kind of pull it off and then it goes wherever. They're not worried about it after the second comes off. But like they took it off and then they put it like this, and then it comes out of the ear of the football, and then the guys steps on it.
Well, if you remember correctly, Jeff Daniels says take the helmet off easy and support his head because they didn't know what happened to him. So that's why they took it off that way.
Yeah, I know. I do. You're right. I do remember him saying that. I do remember him saying that. I still didn't feel like the way they removed the helmet was real. I'm guessing that's what I'm getting at. Even like if you take it off slowly, like I'm feeling like you're doing it slowly. And then the second it leaves his head, I don't know that I would place it like I don't know. It's not even a big deal, but like I'd look at those little details and I notice like the placement of it, and I was just stuck with me on that part. Anyway, yeah, it was a fine scene. It was 2 deaths. It was adding up.
Excellent. Jeff, same question.
Oh, well, I mean, first of all, the first play at the football practice was obviously coached by Chloe Zhao, right? It's obvious because it was so fucking horrible. It was like the worst practice play ever.
What? At first, I thought you were really going to say something. Oh, and by the way, I am going to give this a good rating. I won't tell you the rating now. I'll tell you at the end. I am going to give it a good rating because I did like the film. Even though I have critiques about little things, I still overall think it was a good movie.
It is a good movie. No, most definitely. Just that play just looked really like lackluster, man. It was rough. Like, I mean, it was not a good play compared to the other play. The play where like fucking somehow the kid gets bit by the spider right at the same time that he like makes the immaculate reception and gets fucking like hit by 17 dudes. Now that's a little bit far fetched. But like still though, at least the play looked like more like authentic. It was better than the Chloe Zhao directed one. Right? That was very amateurish.
Oh yeah, I didn't even really look at the football play. You were looking at deeper than I am.
Well, I mean, I told him, hey, my date fell asleep during Eternal, so there you go.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyways, no, it's it was nostalgic, I guess, kind of like back in the day, high school football kind of shit. Like I think the kid actually says "yo" to the coach when he yells to him to come in for the douchebag guy. He's like "yo," or some shit like that, or whatever, whatnot. It was actually pretty interesting. No, the whole like dynamic with that is one of the humoristic aspects, I guess, that isn't sort of the acting of like Goodman, but the trope or like the dynamic between the older doctor and then like the younger doctor is funny. And right now we're in at this point, Cyber, we're into the territory where we're into the are we at the point where the elder doctor does get bit on his foot?
Did he ask a question?
He did ask you a question, yeah.
What was the question?
I said, are we at the point now where we do have the older doctor get bit on his foot by the spider?
Not yet. No, I haven't gotten to that yet.
Okay.
Just the 2 deaths.
Okay. Now, basically, I mean, I don't want to say it's not believable, right? Like that the spider could bite the kid like that. I mean, obviously it's that lethal. Like it bites people, they die. That's the gist. I mean, and it works. Don't get me wrong. Like I didn't sit there and like be like, oh fucking come on now. But at the same time though, I could not help myself but smile and laugh a little bit at like the whole timing of the whole thing. Just because I mean, like, of all times for the spider to like bite him. Literally when he fucking like when Jerry Rice catches some shit real quick, you know what I'm saying? And then gets like fucking like taken out by 8 dudes and shit. Then he gets bit. Right? Like, fuck. Come on now.
That was kind of funny, Jeff.
Yeah, it was funny. It was interesting.
He did, right? They fucking all tackled him at once.
For real. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been like, listen. Like
that was some solid ass defense.
Dude's getting hit by like he's getting fucking like trucked by like 5 dudes, right? But he's surely focused on being bit by a fucking spider.
That's actually pretty funny, yeah. Because even in you're playing football or practice, and and you even if you catch the ball, like you don't have that many defenders on you when you're playing football. But he didn't even catch the ball, and they still had like 6 dudes tackling right.
I know. It's
Really,
really intense, man. Very multi-layered fucking scene.
that's a solid ass defense. It must have been a really good team.
Sorry, Cyber, but no, no, I could not help myself. That was probably one of the moments in the movie where I was like, okay, man, you know what? I gotta laugh at this shit. This is funny. Right, we go from the fucking Chloe's unfiltered play to the fucking the goat play, where the dude dies. Why he's fucking like catching the Super Bowl fucking like win. But no, there actually are some good pairings too, I think, between some of the characters and the actors and actresses, actors, however you want to put it, that also, you know, are conveyed well in the film too. That are important, you know, in terms of like the side characters, as you could say, the secondary characters besides the family, Cyber, J-Rent, you know, that are all pretty solid and delivered pretty well, right? The football coach is funny as shit, right? Like, I mean, my football coaches back in the day were fucking a lot more hardcore. Like that kind of, some of the shit that he was saying was kind of soft compared to the shit they would say to us. You know what I'm saying? Like,
now I don't know what you're talking about. Now. I think he had like 3 lines in that whole scene.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of like hard. I mean, like our coaches were fucking hardcore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they would fucking like say some crazy shit to us sometimes. Yeah, man, this fucking dude. Upstate New York, football upstate New York is no joke, man. At least it wasn't bad. It was fucking brutal, bro.
Cyber's like, dude, what are you talking about? This is why are you talking about football?
Because I remember this thing, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking the me moment. But no, you know, no, and I love the jerseys, the beanie jerseys, like the old school beanie jerseys and shit. Whatnot. They don't use those really anymore. But you know what I'm saying? They look stupid as fuck though.
Well,
like,
those are.
You know,
I mean, those were current with the time, right? 90?
Yeah, they're like mini shirts, you know, like belly shirts almost.
Those are not retro jerseys for that movie. Those are like of the time.
They are. No, but no. Like I said, it's that they bring a lot of the small town sort of like elements that you would expect from the small town like that. They roll them in. And they incorporate those things, just like his family and whatnot, into the film well. Everything is pretty much delivered pretty well. You know, and it's I think it's I'm not that well versed or able to articulate, I guess, how to really explain to myself the right way how well I think the director did it with this film. But I think that, again, like I said earlier, Cyber, J-Rat, like, considering the theme of it is so simple, right? I believe that it just the director, the whole team, the actors, the actresses, they pulled off something really fucking big off of a very like small premise, is my point. And that carries on through the film and it builds up. So like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I do get like for some reason I almost got Hitchcockian vibes. I did when I watched the film.
Cool. Thank you. All right. So, just to kind of mention that football sequence again for you folks, I just rewatched it. And he, FYI, he gets bit before he gets tackled. I don't know if he gets bit before he gets tackled. So,
he was in the act of, but he was in the act of catching the ball, right? Like, because I know I'm almost positive, right? He was like, and he was like, and then the ball like hits him in the face or something.
No. So what happens? I just watched it. What happens is he's running to catch the ball.
Yeah.
He gets bit. The ball comes flying. It hits him in the chest and bounces off. And then the guys come running in.
And he still tackle his sorry ass.
Yep. Well, whenever I've seen a football practice, that's how they practice. So that's
dogpiled him.
Yeah.
And the ball.
But yeah, so that's what happened there. Anyways, so moving on. So at this point, too, after the footballer's death, they start nicknaming Ross Jennings Dr. Death because of how many people he just examined and they have died. The next thing we see, we go to Dr. Metcalf's house. He's walking on a treadmill. We see the spider get on the treadmill and kind of get ground down it. And that's when it makes its way over to his slipper. He's talking to his wife about Todd Miller's death, and he says he's gonna go take a shower. He takes off his shoes and socks, and the wife's like, "Oh, you better put your slippers on. The floor's cold." And he's like, "You're right, you're right." Goes over to put on the slippers where the spider went into, and that's when he gets bit. And he gets bit, and he's like, and she's like, "It's just a spider, Sam." And he's like, "A spider? Feels like a damn cougar bit me." Damn. And that's when he starts seizing.
Bobcat. Fucking Bobcat.
He starts seizing on there, and he's like, "Call Jennings and call the ambulance." And by the time Jennings gets there, he has died, and he notices on his toe that the wife said that he just got bit by a spider, and that's when the actual mortuary guy, who is named Milt Briggs, he's the coroner. He ends up there, and he shows. Jeff Daniels shows him the bite. And he's like, I don't really believe that looks like a spider bite, but whatever. And so basically after Metcalf's death, that's when, they do a toxicology report and find out that there's a lethal dose of some neurotoxin that is what, killed him, but it looks like a heart attack. So Milt Briggs basically says, "Okay, I'll do whatever you want to do." And he's like, "I need those bodies exhumed." So they basically end up going to Stuart Pankin, tell him that he needs Margaret's body, Todd Miller's body dug up so we can do autopsies. And so that's when they do the autopsies, and that's when they discover on all the different victims there are a bite. One on Sam Metcalf's toe, one on Margaret's hand, and then one on the ear of Todd Miller. And so basically they start realizing that there's some sort of, spider that is causing these deaths. So that's when Jeff Daniels starts to do some research on arachnids and ends up calling to have the entomologist to help. And that's the paper we see him going over, and it shows, Julian Sand's name at the top of it, and he's circling. That's when the cricket comes in and bounces on his paper, and he grabs that and throws it back outside. And so then he gets in contact with him to come and to help with this, case, because he had heard that he is a expert in this type of field. Well, instead of him going, he sends his basically like one of his lackeys to help with the investigation. And that's when Chris mentions that Atherton had found a new species in Venezuela recently, and that, basically that's very similar to what's going on in this town. Like, this spider is not a normal spider that's drowned. And so after this scene, this section of the film also includes the shower scene and Delbert going over to the house and checking for spiders. And we see him kill a spider. And he has a nice little small conversation with the coach. And I remember seeing that in 1990 in theaters and that popping up. And I was like, woohoo! And I was like, damn! And I was like, wow, this is PG-13. How the hell is this in it? And I just remember thinking, wow, that girl's cute. And so we have all that happening, and that's when, after they have figured out that it's some sort of spider, they start going and looking at the different people's houses to find a suspect and to capture it and to examine it. And so they end up going and checking out these different houses and looked at. And while they're at, I believe it's Margaret's house, is when they find a dead one. It's in the cereal after Stuart Pagan starts eating the cereal. And then while they're there, behind the picture was one, and it jumps and flies on the table. And so Chris is like, I need you to step towards it so I can capture it, Ross. And he's like, you have no idea how hard this is. I am scared to death. And he's like, we have neurotransmitters that helps us to deal with it. Just you have those, use it. He's like, I don't think I have those. And he ends up stepping towards it, and they're able to capture it with a wine glass. And so then they go back to to his office, and they start to dissect it and look into it, and notice that it is a drone, that it has no sex organs, that has 3 little venom sacs, and that basically this is a drone which is not common in arachnids, but in other insects like ants and bees. And so that's when we really kind of start getting the gist, and that's when Atherton finally pops up and tells them that he found this new species of Venezuela, and it's the top of the food chain. And that basically what this spider is going to do is it's going to create a command center and send out its soldiers. And that's basically what the spider is doing. And that, basically, they kind of have that conversation where I think I know why you've heard of Canaima before, Atherton. This is Jerry Manley's home, which I think one of your Venezuelan spiders hitched a ride over in his coffin. And so that's when they start to go their different ways and trying to figure out where the main nest is. And they think it's the mortuary. So they're like, okay, let's go and check out the mortuary, because that's where the spider should have originated. So basically, then that's when we go over to the mortuary. And when they get there, they find the mortuary and his wife dead from a bite as well, because we see him grab a handful of popcorn, or her, and with a spider in it. And so when they figure out that it's not at the mortuary, they have to basically figure out where else it could have gone. And so they pull out a map and they look at it, and Delbert's there, and he's like, yeah, I found an arachnid here, and I found an arachnid here, which, by the way, I have to agree, John Goodman is probably one of the best parts of this movie. He's absolutely my all-time favorite character in this film. He cracks me up through this whole entire thing. He's so on point. Absolutely love him in this film. And I'm a huge Jeff Daniels fan. I love Julian Sands. I think they're all great actors, but John Goodman is definitely one of my favorite parts about this film. Just his Delbert character was absolutely freaking hilarious. And so they're pinpointing the map, and then they circle all the different areas where they found spiders. They have a circle, and they go, what house is in the middle? And it ends up being Jeff Daniels' house. So before we go on and talk about the conclusion, let's talk about that section of the film. What are you guys' thoughts on that section of the film? Metcalf's death, the shower scene, the basically figuring out, having Atherton finally come in, them capturing a spider, checking it out, and all leading up to them figuring out that it's Jeff Daniels' house that has the nest. Starting with you, Joey.
The way I was watching this movie was determined on how these people died. So like, how he talked about like the believability of how they got bit, like, would I be looking at this or that? The doctor was the one that we talked about earlier too, like not checking your shoes. And what on earth is this? Episode 17. Oh, this. Thanks, Jeff. Okay. Jeff with his crazy antics. That's actually beer Cyber's having to drink because of you. Was that crystal water? So kind of start over and fast forward. One of the things I was looking at in trying to judge this movie was the believability of how these people were dying with the spider bite. So the doctor was actually pretty believable. Put my foot in the slipper, and then a normal spider probably would feel threatened, getting scrunched up, and probably would bite your foot if it you're pushing against it, and you're in the shoe. So that was pretty believable. The doing the cardio. She was like, why don't you just run normally? He's like, no, because I need to check my time and how far I'm going. I mean, I figured that you could still do that in the 90s. I don't think you needed an app to do that now to see how far you would run. but I guess it was more difficult and a lot easier with the treadmill. And then he gets bitten. He's like, "Oh, my dang foot!" And he's felt it was a spider. Felt like a damn cougar. I thought that part was kind of funny. It gave me a little smirk when I saw that. And then he was all like, "Oh, damn, I'm having a seizure." I don't know, for whatever reason, that part kind of cracked me up when he was doing that whole "I'm having a seizure." And then he's like, call the ambulance, and then that doctor gets there. They get there relatively quick, I think, right? But like the toxin of that stuff is pretty quick. If you notice, they like hemorrhage, right? Is that coming with heart attack where you hemorrhage blood? Because every other one they showed, they had like blood, like coming down from their mouth. So where would you get blood? Like in your stomach, your stomach just bursts and you're just hemorrhaging blood. I didn't see where that happened or how that happened from a heart attack, if that's where they were blaming it. Like as a doctor, if someone had a heart attack and you saw blood coming out of their mouth, would they have blood coming out of their mouth from a heart attack? I'm gonna look that up anyway. That was just something that I noticed in the movie. For a doctor, and they saw blood and thought I had a heart attack, that probably wasn't really smart doctor then, I guess. I don't know. And then so after the doctor, then where do we go? We went to him calling the expert of bugs.
Yep.
We did, and coincidentally, we got the same expert that brought the bugs, about the spiders, to his town.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was plot, plot tie in there, coincidence. And then he told him the name of the town, and I guess he knew where the photographer was from. I'm assuming he knew the photographer. He had to have to know where he was from, where the body went to, because then he was like, as soon as they mentioned, as soon as I said the name of the town, you already knew, And I don't remember where they tie in the photographer to knowing that it was him with him. Do you remember that part? Anybody remember that part? Because somehow he was like, your photographer, came in here and did that. But like, how did he know about the photographer coming from this place? There had to have been some part where that was brought up. I'm assuming they couldn't just
beginning of the film.
Right, but so the photographer came in at the beginning of the film,
and he tells Julian Sands where he's from.
But where did the Jeff Daniels come into play to call this guy to know about the photographer that came in? Was he there when that guy came in? Did that guy came in? He wasn't there, was he?
No, like I said, there's a scene where he's researching different entomologists, and Julian Sands is at the top of the list.
So he just goes straight to him. That's what it was.
Because he's the number one registered entomologist.
Got you. Okay, there's parts of that movie where I was having to look left and right. So again, that's probably one of the small details that I did miss. But so he calls him, he talks to him. They send he didn't have time for him, so he sent the assistant. Now and then we're making our way to who's it house? Like the mayor's house or something? The one with the they're watching the Wheel of Fortune. They got their phones off the hook because they're watching the Wheel of Fortune.
That's the mortuary.
That's the one that died with his wife.
Correct.
Okay, got you. Yeah, that was kind of funny when they're like, "Yeah, let's get a hold of him." I can't get a hold of him. Oh yeah, it's probably Wheel of Fortune. And they show him cooking the popcorn and the fake butter. Get the fake butter. And they go sit down. They're all excited for Wheel of Fortune. Like, man, is that how it was? I was thinking when I saw that part, I was like, was that how it was like in the 90s? Because we didn't have a lot of these things like this.
I never got that excited Wheel of Fortune.
Well, yeah, maybe not for us per se, but like maybe like if we were our age now in the 90s, like was it like when the show came on like that? Because when a show comes on now, we're kind of like that, like if it's a show that we like. But like the fact that they were just pumped for Wheel of Fortune. I don't know if that was just an exaggeration of the time or for the show or of the time what it was. But
if I ever fucking start getting pumped from fucking Wheel of Fortune, then I don't even want to be alive.
Maybe, but see, here's the thing. I mean, I wouldn't know. I mean, I kind of would know, but I wouldn't know as a person of age of that time how. And I know this is off topic. I'm sorry. Of how, like, into Wheel of or TV shows, game shows people were at that time. Anyway, it didn't. That wasn't anything that bothered me. That was just something I thought about. I thought it was funny when they were watching it. I don't remember exactly how it got into the popcorn. If it was already in the bucket. It doesn't matter. All I know is
he's in the kitchen and he's preparing the popcorn, and he puts the popcorn down on the counter. The spider comes crawling onto the bucket, and
then he like goes in, like kind of in a little bit, or he wasn't on top of it because he would have noticed it if it was right on top.
No, it crawled into the popcorn.
Got you. Okay, they sit down, they start eating, and I'm thinking to myself like, this is one of those other parts where I'm like, how realistic is this bite going to be when when it happens? Am I going to get bit by a spider when I'm watching TV? And I'm looking at it like, okay, it's in the popcorn. Are you when your eyes are glued to the TV? Are you looking at the popcorn bucket? Sometimes you are, right? Maybe not all the time. If you're grabbing popcorn, you're like looking at the movie theater. You grab the bucket.
I always look at the popcorn. Never. I do. I always every time I look at it.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking about it to myself. Like, do I look at the popcorn when I get it? Because sometimes I do. I guess if I don't know where it's at, right? Like if you don't know where the bucket's at, you're like, hey, who has the bucket? And you go and you reach for it. Or if it's in your, I'm assuming like the way this were, it was in their hand. They're like this, so they're watching it and they're just like, and so. I was kind of 50-50 on that one. She put her hand on it. It bit her, and then it bit him at the same time. And uh-oh. Did my TV just turn off? Oh no, okay. My screen went blank because I almost went into sleep mode. Sorry.
I thought you got bit by the fucking spider there.
I know. I was. Oh, my both my screens turned black right now. I thought my computer was about to shut down. I was like, damn. I was like, you know what? It usually happens after about an hour. It's when I over allow myself on a podcast.
What?
Peak time. So that that was believable to me. I was 50-50. And then we get to what was the next part? Oh yeah, and so they find him, they're dead. And then they start looking for a spider, right? They find the dead one in the cereal box, the goofy sheriff, and he freaks out, almost has an actual heart attack.
That was before that section, but yeah.
Well, they died. So okay, so where was that? Where was when did they find it in the cereal?
That was before they go to the mortuary. That's before they go to the office and Allerton pops up.
Whose house was that?
It was Margaret's house.
Oh, wow. I don't know how I got that in mixed up in there. But that's right. And that's when they do the spider and they find it with the cup. Correct. Why did I feel like I missed that? Did I skip that from the beginning of this? I did. Okay, so let me just go back because I wanted to talk about that whole little scene. That part was actually a little suspense thriller scene because they found a live one and they're both like stuck. They both didn't want to move, and Jeff Daniel was like, "Oh hell nah," and the other guy he that was funny because he was like he moved to the right and then the spider would do the same, and then he moved to the left and then the spider would do the same. And so then it kind of like establishes that the spiders are smart, helps establish that because we kind of already see it. But then that kind of like tells you like, oh, wow, oh, man, it's following him, and then he's like, you're going to have to come to the spider. And he's like, hell nah, and then when he does it, it turns the direction, right? He gets distracted when he moves towards it. And that's when they capture it with the glass. They find the little green sacks on it with the venom and to bring up the point again about it's doesn't have any reproductive organs. And I think this is where one of the probably the one of the most important parts is that they establishes is that there's a general spider, the general spider, right? I think is that what they called it, or the male spider?
General.
Yeah. So they said they're gonna have to find it and kill it so that before it could reproduce. I'm not too far, right? This is at that part where we're at. They needed to find it so that way it couldn't reproduce, because if it reproduced, it'd go from one place to another to another.
Yes. That's
made
what
a
they
queen.
discuss in that. That's what they discuss at the doctor's office when Atherton comes in.
Right, because they said that if he produces a queen or something like that, then it would be really bad.
Correct.
So then they had to get it now. Okay, yeah. And then that's and then we find the murderer in his house dead, and then that's when they decide to do what? It's when he tells his colleague, the main doctor, like, hey, this is the real deal. And then he's like, I'm gonna be there by tomorrow or something like that. And then that's where we're at now. Right? That's pretty much the whole gist of from the doctor to those two deaths.
Well, no, that was after they found the spider earlier that you were talking about. That's when they call Atherton. He said he can come down. And then they have the whole section at the hospital, or at the doctor's office, Ross's office, to talk about what you just talked about, producing the queen and all that, and the sack and all that kind of stuff. Then they go to the mortuary, because that's where they think that the nest is, because that's where the spider came in from. But then they go outside, they look at the map, circle all the spots where they found spiders, and realize that the house in the middle is where the nest is, and that happens to be Jennings' house.
Got you. Okay. All right. Thank you for piecing that back together. And then I'm going to break it back into more pieces and add John Goodman in there, because I think we finally brought him up in this segment, right? This piece.
Uh-huh.
He shows up twice in this piece. He shows up one at Jeff Daniels' house when he's like, going to the basement and confirms that there is no termites, and says that he's just got rotten wood. And she's like, how do you fix that? He's take rotten wood out, put good wood in. Gonna be funny.
That was earlier in the film, and then he pops up again after Atherton pops up. Because after he stepped on the bug at the coach's house.
And then he sprays it with like organic bug killer that doesn't kill it. And he's like, fuck it. And then he steps on the one outside and gives a nice gooey.
Yep.
Yeah, I like this character. Yeah, those were my thoughts on those scenes and things I noticed.
Okie dokie. Jeff, same question, sir.
The fucking the way that and I don't think this is going too far, because this happens during this, I think even before this period, or right in the beginning of it, as Jarrett mentioned, the way that Jeff Daniels conveys his arachnophobia, I think is really well done. Right? I don't know what it's like to have it personally. I have no idea, but I imagine it must be really pretty bad. And I thought, like, if that's what it's like at all, he did a good job with it. Like, he looked fucking scared, like, by like just the whole concept of a spider, right? Would fuck him up. And I think that's important, because the title of the movie is Arachnophobia, right? So at that point, not that I'm trying to get all meta and shit and whatnot, but in terms of like connecting with the title, right? Direct, like, as a premise throughout the film, for him to be able to convey that fear I feel like it's important. If Goodman was as good as he was in his role, and then if Daniels doesn't pull off that, add to that fear, that suspense, that's, I think, I don't know, but I'm assuming as an actor that might be difficult to convey. Like that and whatnot and everything. I have no idea how they handled it back then. Did they even have green screens? No, I didn't think so. Everything was animatronics and all that kind of shit, and yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, no, they didn't use green. I don't think they used green skins in that movie.
No, No, they digital effects though. I think at that point, didn't they? I think they did at that point.
They had digital effects since the 80s, but yeah, they didn't really use it as much as like they do today because they preferred practical effects.
Oh, sure, no, and I mean, you know, and honestly, it's a lot of films I prefer it too. I do. I like the way. I mean, I used to love how it looked in a lot of the older horror films, whatnot. Seeing actual creatures and shit, and whatnot, people in costumes, whatnot, as monsters and everything. But no, again, what I was thinking to myself, why Jared was talking about that segment of the movie was sort of like how to describe the movie, right? Like it's not a straight horror film. There are comedic tones, right? There are some humorous moments. There's some lighthearted fare in it, right? So like, I mean, what do you describe this as? Right? Like what is this? Like, you know, is it a like a horror thriller? Like is it a like a noir, like a noir film? You know, because the spider trope, like that. No, I was just thinking of a little myth with that in my head, trying to describe to myself like how when I convey what arachnophobia is to someone, right? Because it's not just a full blown horror film. I don't feel like.
Nah.
It has other elements, right? You know, and honestly, I think they do purposely. Some of this stuff is kind of like done comedically. Like some of the shit that we were joking about, laughing about. I think they kind of like spoofied it, right? They kind of made it like a little bit funny. Some of the shit, like the tackling scene, the tackling scene.
I'm assuming it was like supposed to be some type of comic relief, but like it wasn't scary enough, to my opinion, to need it.
Well, that depends on how old you are when you watch the film. Again, I watched it young, so that shit scared the fuck out of me. You know,
But
like,
yeah, you know what? So maybe if I were to show it to my daughters, they'd probably be freaked the hell out.
When you're young, man, and you see Jeff Bridges fucking freaking out and shit, whatnot, the way he is, whatnot, everything, it looks real as fuck.
That might be true. I think to a kid, and then you see spiders, and then you'll have that like that fear as a kid. Yeah, I guess so. I guess in the perspective of you know, young mind is going to be totally different.
For real,
I guess, but there's a lot of horror movies tend to do that, to have some type of small comic reliefs or some little funny characters in them from time to time. I was kind of confused that it had it in here because like I said, as a scene at my age, didn't find it scary enough to need the comic relief like that. So I kind of took it like, oh, is this like a comedy horror?
And this isn't a film that I don't think that like no, they didn't. This didn't win any awards. I don't think. Right, Cyber? This didn't win anything. Nobody was nominated for anything for this. It wasn't a that style of film. I don't think. Right, to where you would nominate Bridges, right, for his role. Doesn't the Academy typically stay away from horror and shit like that? Doesn't the Academy usually stay away from horror and shit like that too? Just like the superhero stuff, like don't they kind of just like whatever, you know, with that stuff?
Generally speaking, most of the time, yes, they stay away from horror, but there are horror films that have gotten Academy Award nominations and have won.
That's true. There have been. No, most definitely. And a lot of times a lot of it has to do with the storytelling, the visual aspects of it, whatnot. But no, I feel like the overall this segment of the film exemplifies, although there, like we talked about earlier, there was sort of like a small lull there at one point where they're sort of like laying in context and setting up the full premise of the film to the audience, conveying it. I feel like at this point, as we head into like the final act or whatever, they really did do a great job of balancing things out to where the suspense kicks in the right way, right at the right times, you know, if that makes sense. So the pacing's great, and I felt like this part of the film was very emblematic of it, especially in terms of like what characters are left to interact with each other, if that makes sense. who they focus on.
Okie dokie. Excellent. All right. So, the end of this film, which is the last part here we'll be talking about, folks, for you guys. Y'all did fantastic there. Nice, long, eloquent talking points. And so as we move on here, like I said, after they figure out that it's Jennings' house that is the actual main nest area, they are in Delbert's truck heading back, him, Chris, and Ross's character. And basically he goes, he's like, oh, yeah, there's a damn web in my barn. It's been there the whole freaking time, etc., etc. And so they're making their way back there, and they get back to the house. And Delbert says, I'll go into the barn and take care of what's in there. And Jennings and Chris go into the main house to gather his family to get out of there. And when they get in there, that's when all of a sudden the spiders start rushing. And they get in there and they start having spiders all of a sudden come out of all the areas of the walls, end up on the TV, end up on the door. They have to make their way up into the bathroom to try to go out the window in the bathroom to get out of the house. Most of them get out the window except for Jeff Daniels, and he's fighting off the spiders and stuff like that. He ends up not being able to get out through the window because the trellis ends up falling when Chris gets on it, and so he has to make his way back out. He goes back inside the house and is being attacked by spiders. He's trying to fend them off, and he ends up falling over the banister and falls down into the cellar. When he's down the cellar, there's no spiders around, and at first he's like freaking out trying to get them off him, but there's none on him, and he realizes there's no other spiders around, and that's when he discovers that's where the nest is, and he encounters the queen that the general has created. And so he starts to battle the queen a little bit. It ends up on a shovel he picks up, and he throws the shovel, and it ends up hitting one of the circuit breakers and killing the queen and basically electrocuting her. And it shows it pop, which was really cool. It's like pop. It was so cool looking. And so the queen is basically taken care of, and he starts to go over to the nest and starts throwing alcohol in it, wine that he has in his cellar. And as he's doing that, that's when all of a sudden the general pops up and rears his fangs. And that's when basically Jeff Daniels goes into beast battle mode. And basically we have him going and like fighting the spiders throughout this. He's like tries to fire the spider with a torch that he has and a can of paint, and he starts blowing it all over the place, lighting things on fire, trying to light the spider on fire, and the spider flees, and we get some great animatronic spider action. And as he's going around and trying to battle the general in different spots, he ends up falling down and on the floor and paralyzed while the general starts walking and crawling towards him, and the general gets on top of him and starts crawling on him, and it goes back and forth between a real spider and the fake animatronic spider, which I thought was hilarious because he kept going back and forth. We even get an up close view of the eyes, like Joey talked about earlier, having the spider staring at Jeff Daniels. And basically ends up get to a point onto Jeff Daniels' body where there's a piece of wood, and he hits the piece of wood as the general gets right on top of it, and it flies him over into the fire, and he ends up getting burned. And so as Jeff Daniels gets up, all of a sudden the general comes flying back out of the fire on fire and running around, and the general jumps up in the air to about to try to grab onto Jeff Daniels, and he finds the nail gun, shoots the nail gun, hits the general right, and he flies right into the egg sac right as the new spiders are being born, and it kills the egg sac and the general, and he has saved the day. And so after he has done that, Delbert shows up, grabs him, pulls him out, and of course his wife's up there and he hugs her, and then after this whole ordeal they decide to move back to San Francisco. And they're in San Francisco briefly, and they're having wine after they just moved back into a house in San Francisco, and there's an earthquake, and that's how the movie ends. So, what are you guys' thoughts on the ending, the epic battle between two spiders and Jeff Daniels, and what were your thoughts just on the ending and then give your overall rating, and we'll move on from there. Starting with you, Joey.
The part where they decide they figured out that it was at his house, and then the bug scientist deciding to go to the barn after they leave, and he's like, where's that place? Because he sees the web. I'm assuming he saw the web pattern, and he's like, where's that place? Take me there at once. Like he knew that was the web, and that's where it was going to be. Oh, this picture that could be from 100 years ago. Yeah, that's perfect. Let me take you there. And he decides to go to the barn by himself. And I already knew, and just like any movie, I already knew this was trouble for him. And again, repeat it, I'd never seen this movie, so I don't know the fate of any of the characters in it. But as soon as he decided to go to that barn by himself, I knew this guy was dying. I was like, really? This is the guy that's going to die? He reminded me of that character in, he's an expert, right? He's an expert in all of this stuff. He should know more than anybody else. He reminds me of that character in, you remember the first Jurassic Park, the one who knew about the velociraptors? Are you laughing because you know which one I'm talking about? The one, he was a
I'm laughing at, do you remember Jurassic Park?
Oh, well,
only one of the biggest dinosaur movies in the last 30 years.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And with movie experts like with you guys, I definitely was a dumb question. Okay, so in Jurassic Park, there was that one hunter who was an expert in velociraptors, and he was helping that chick, and he was telling her to run, and he was tells her how they attack. Like, they don't attack from you straight; they attack you from side to side or from behind. And he's like, run. And so she runs to go, and then like he's like, clever girl, and then he gets killed. This character reminded me of that character, an expert about what they study and hunt, and still fall victim to what it is they know. And for whatever reason, he goes in there and he sees all these webs, knowing that it's a killer spider. I was like, why is this guy going into this dark ass barn where he can't see anything? And what he should be doing is he should be going in there and burn this thing to the ground, right? Go in there like, I found it. Oh yeah, look, there's a web. You know what? Let me just save everybody the trouble and just get a gasoline and douse it, around it and just set it ablaze. But no, he goes in there for whatever reason and baits this thing out. I'm assuming to try to catch in this little ass mason jar that he has. And he's like, he sees one big strand and he's like, come out, right? And he dies. He gets bit. Like, I just don't understand why he did that. But anyway, then we get to the house and all these spiders start coming out of the woodworks, like just out of everywhere, right? They just coming out of the TV, behind the curtains, from the floor, from the roof, and everywhere you could think of. And I'm like, damn, where the hell did all these spiders come from? And they had to go upstairs. There were some parts in there where I was like, I didn't understand how they couldn't have gotten bit with how aggressive the one spiders were in each scene. There was like 30 of them. I didn't understand how like these 30 spiders just didn't all jump on them. There were times when they touched their hands or touched Jeff Daniels' hands, and he's like, ugh, and he like flings them away. I was like, he should have gotten bit there. He should have died right there. And I said that to myself like 3 or 4 times. They go up to the bathroom. They start following him in the bathroom. They're following you in the bathroom. They're jumping on you too when you were downstairs. Then they got out, and then for him, he didn't have enough time to get out. And they come down. They block the window. He's stuck there. He should have been dead in the bathroom. One of those spiders should have killed him. And I was hitting the buzzer every time. I was like, he should have been dead. Should have been dead. He should have been dead there. He falls through that weak ass floor, the bad wood. He should have been.
He should have died there too. He did that fall like a champ.
He could have been dead there too. I mean, I don't know. you're lucky, I guess, if you fall through the floor like that and nothing is under, right under you to pierce your body or, anyway, that doesn't matter. I guess you can survive that. But, with the amount of the spiders that he went through to get to the floor, and then he puts 2 and 2 together. We missed this part where they talk about the smells musky, no spiders. This is the nest. And he like fell on his back, got his air knocked out of him that I did not see, but he figured out that was the nest like right away at that spot. And he's like, this is the nest. And he finds it. No spiders around. And then we get that scene. So with all that happening, I that's like, that wasn't a big deal to me. I just look at those things. But that scene with the fighting spiders, that was cool. That was like the thriller, the one. And I like the little sound effects when he hit it with the general, and he hit it, was coming to him and he hits it with the bottle. It's like pink. The little thing went flying. That was kind of hilarious to me. That was kind of funny. It was comic going away. But back to the queen where he smacks it with the thing and it gets electrocuted. And then I thought I forgot that it was 2 different spiders. I thought I was gonna burn the house down from there after he with all the electrical thing going haywire from all that. And that one spider, was it the queen that jumped on him? No, the queen didn't jump on his chest, right? There was one that jumped on his chest.
That was the general.
Okay. Okay, so he should have been dead there for sure. When he jumped on his chest and he was like, ugh! And he should have been dead there. That spider should have bit him right there. And then that part where he like falls on the wine cases fall on him, and he's like breaking bottles, and he's like, and the spider's like dodging him. Wait, so he gets it from there. There's a part where he falls down though. I think this is after the wine bottles. After he gets trapped with them, he falls down, right? And he's laying like this, and then the general starts crawling up his leg.
Yeah, that's the climactic ending when he throws him into the fire.
Yeah. So the general jumps on his leg, and I'm looking at it like, okay, he's on his leg. Should have been dead there. And I'm like, why isn't he biting him already? Like, but it's part of the movie. It's suspense, and then he's got that little ruler that's like on his chest right here, and so like you see the spider crawling up on him, and you're like, oh, you should have bit him there. Why? Oh, he's not biting him yet. Oh, he's gonna bite him in the face or what? He's gonna bite him on his cheek. He wants to get up close and personal, and then he gets to that part, and his hands like this, and he's like, and then he hits that thing and flings that thing, and it's like, wee. And what does it go? It goes like into the fire, right? He goes into the fire, and then he gets up, and that spider comes out, right? He's like, ee! Like it's just like making noises, like it's screaming.
Well, it's being cooked.
The tarantulas can't scream.
Oh yeah, so this thing was screaming. It was like, "Aah!" And then I guess it was still trying to go after him. And that's when he finds the nail gun and pops it. And with that one good ass shot, that was a great shot. I forgot. I saw it recently, but I don't know how close it was that he took that shot. But damn, that was a good shot. Even if it was like 5, I want to say, even if it was like 3 feet in front of you to hit it with the nail like that, that's a tough shot, to be honest with you. But he hit that thing and bullseye, and then it went straight for the eggs too. So 1 in a million shot, he got it.
Nail guns don't even work that way. When you shoot them like that, they don't just fly out of a fucking gun and come out straight.
Yeah, they have safeties on them. I think he pressed the safety because that one, for whatever reason, I even remember them looking like that. Nail guns now actually look like a nail gun from what I remember, but this one was flat and it had like a circle on it. And I'm assuming if you push down on that circle, it would like be the release to it, like the safety on it, and allow it to shoot the nail. So if I don't remember, I didn't look at that part of the movie enough, but I don't remember if he pressed it so that way it could shoot it. I'm assuming he did, so that way it shot that nail. Either way, great shot. It was suspenseful. It was a good ending. I liked it. I appreciate it.
The nail guns back then, they didn't have a guard or anything like that and everything. They were full on, like, you could shoot them.
That's probably what it was. Yeah, then maybe.
So what's your rating, Joey?
For the type of movie that it is, I definitely give it like a I would say like at the lowest would be like a 6.5 to a 7. 7's actually pretty high. I think anything that I give a 7 has to be a good movie. So it's worth seeing. It's worth seeing to me. Like if you haven't seen it, I would say see it. It's a great movie to watch on a Friday night, especially like if you're on a want to be on a date or something, or looking for something new to watch. This is one of those that you should put on your list to at least see once. It may be a movie that you like and then you're going to add it to your collection, and it may be not, but it'll be a movie definitely that you wanted to see at least once. And you're like, yeah, that was interesting. So I would say 6.5, 7. And for me, anything that touches a 7 is good.
Okie dokie. Thank you. Jeff, your thoughts on the ending and your rating?
I think that the movie would probably, if anything, would have played well in the theater. Like it probably, honestly, it probably would have been pretty damn entertaining in the theater and whatnot and everything. When you have that different audio feel to it, right? The suspense is more real. You know what I'm saying? Because you're in that, you have that theater aspect to things, right? It's more real to you. You feel almost immersed in the movie in a way. It's more, the fear is more tangible. I guess if that makes sense, right? And you're able to develop almost like feel a sense of the atmosphere better, I guess, maybe, right? In the film or whatever, whatnot, when you're in the theater. I do anyway, right? Now, so, I like to, I think back, like as Cyber talked about the numbers, I'm trying to think of what came out in 1990. I mean, $22 million is a damn big budget for 1990 for a film like this. It really is. Like honestly, I'm surprised at that number. I did not think it was that high at all. That's a lot of damn money. That I guess nowadays, shit, what is that? That budget now would be literally over $130 million. Right? So that's a fucking big movie. I'd love to see a new version of this.
It'd be totally different.
No, of course it would be, but I'm saying it would be interesting to see it, how they would do it if someone tried to remake this now. With what we have going on now in terms of the different abilities that they have with these films and producing them, I'd be interested in seeing if someone did it right, and if they
are remaking it.
Well, they are.
No, okay. Or did they remake it?
No, they're in the process of filming it.
Oh, okay.
Christopher Landon, who directed Freaky and the 2 Happy Death Day films, Michael Landon's son, who's gay, he's going to be directing it.
Now, is it going to tie into the original film, or is it going to be a remake?
It's a remake.
Okay. All right. No, you know what? That's interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, how it's received. Right?
Maybe we can get Jeff Daniels to play the old town doctor, the one that dies.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know what? He'd be pretty damn good in that character, I think.
Just as a cameo, since he dies anyway.
Yeah, why not? Or maybe we get Jeff Bridges to do it. Either way. But no. It'd be look. I mean, honestly, sorry, between you and between J-Rent, you pretty much talked about everything that was pivotal that occurred. All I can really say is just that they did a great job with John Goodman. They didn't overexpose him. They gave us just enough of him, I thought, to where it really delivered. It helped his character. That they didn't overdo it with him, right? His shtick. I like that deal. I do. I like the minimalist approach with something like that, right? I think that taking that kind of risk, right? And a tactful decision like that and whatnot. That was a good move. It worked well. And again, I really had a sense the whole movie of, hey, you know what? Jeff Daniels holds this fucking movie down. He anchors it, right? from jump to finish. He anchors. Well, not from jump, but basically from jump to finish. He anchors the film. He does. And hey, you know what? There's a lot of big movie, big paid, like, you know, big name actors and actresses out there and whatnot that cannot hold down a film like that on their own. They can't, right? They cannot convey a character that can lead like that, right? You know what I'm saying? It kind of set a tone to where they're not carrying the film, but they're sort of almost anchoring it again, you know, like just giving it a baseline, right? I don't think there's that many actors out there that can do it. They can really pull it off that level at that level. And I think it's just hats off to him. He's a great fucking actor, man. He really is. The director did a great job. He really did. It was a really well done film. Well shot for right then for 90. Holy fuck, man! I thought it was really well shot. Lot of different camera angles, right? Shit, I'd have to imagine, right, Cyber? A lot of that budget money was full production, right? Just full on production, probably. All the fucking camera angles, the cameramen, the equipment. You know, I mean, the shots. They probably redid scenes a lot. Then the spiders. You know, so no, it's a lot. I mean, you know, I give it a solid 8.5, right? Close to a 9, in between, right? It's just a really well put together film, and I think you've got to sometimes maybe place some more importance on the quality of a movie rather than if it killed it for you inside, right? Or you were blown away by it. You know what I'm saying? The production quality, you know, the writing and whatnot, everything has to matter too. You know, and overall, this is just a well-balanced, well-cast, well-paced, you know, consistently toned film, right? It delivers at the end. It does. It doesn't flame out. It delivers and it finalizes itself well. You know, so hey, I'm happy that I got to watch it again. Thank you, Cyber, for picking the movie.
Excellent. Thank you. And I give it a solid 10. I love this movie. I have always loved it. It's going to be always a classic in my book. And just the fact that Jeff Daniels and John Goodman are in it gives it a 10 for me. I love the fact that this movie has those great kind of funny moments throughout the whole entire film. I love how, you know, it's not reality, and that's what's fun about it. Reality is not supposed to be fun. That's what reality is, and that's what's great about this film. There might be inconsistencies. There might be things that, you know, you're like, why did this happen and why didn't that happen? But that's the whole point of movies. It's about fake reality, and that's what makes them so much fun. And that's what's great about this film. And if you had Jeff Daniels get bit at the end when all those spiders are swarming, then you'd have no winner. You'd have no winner.
Okay.
Like, eight different times I was going to say to you, like, bro, the suspension of belief, bro.
Okay, all right. So to defend myself, again, this is not my type of movie. Okay, that's why I've never seen it. And that's why I'm so critical of it. I judge the same all the movies the same way.
You're always critical.
I know I am always critical. That's how I am. But like I said, for the type of movie that it is, horror, because I don't watch horrors or a lot of thrillers. Like if I do watch a thriller, it's like a suspense thriller, like The Bone Collector or, you know, Kiss the Girl. Those type of thriller movies. Those are the kinds that I like. And even those type of movies, like I'm always like, I saw both those movies in the theater. Yeah, so those type of thriller movies are the kinds that I'm used to, and I'm trying to put this in a category that I would want to judge it accordingly. And I know, and I get it totally right. Like it's not supposed to be lifelike, because I guess all movies are kind of like that in some sense. But that's the only reason why. It's just it's not my type of movie, so I'm only judging it based on how I look at other movies. You know, and I still thought it was a good movie. It reminds, for whatever reason, it reminds me of like a big China. What is it?
Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China. I don't know why I could not say that because I love that movie. That's like a 10 for me, but like it reminds me of that type of movie where it's like serious but like silly, but it like I don't know. I feel like it's like something like of that nature, but like I like that movie better though. I don't know.
I'd like to bang Kim Cattrall at her age of that movie.
Kim Cattrall? What? Kim Cattrall wasn't in the movie. You mean Harley Jane Kozak?
She was the green-eyed actress.
Oh, you're talking about Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah. Then we put a review with J-Rat.
Sorry, we did do that one. Yeah.
We're talking about arachnophobia, so that was like, what the fuck?
I was sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to defend myself. Yeah. Cause I know I could be too critical, but I still enjoyed the movie. I mean,
so we're going to give you shit about it.
It's my first time seeing it for a reason. It's not, I've seen the Arachnophobia, like the title many times, and this is what I've done.
There's nothing wrong with it, Joey. Hey, listen, like when we covered The Last of Us,
we're just gonna give you shit. It's fun.
I was fanboying out on that shit. I was hardcore. Like I was like fucking like every episode was just blowing me away. I was like, dying and shit during like while I was covering them. So like I appreciated you coming on and being like, fuck.
Gotta get some diversity, right?
Is that exactly what you did to Joey when you came in? Blah. Is that what you said? Blah.
Yeah, basically.
I guess so.
I don't think so. I think they were articulate words, probably. But
yeah, they were.
Some I guess were articulate. At least, what is it called? Hearable. You can hear audible.
Audible, yes.
Audible. There you go.
It's a good thing
Maybe it's not after all.
It's a good thing I got this kid, Joey, because I mean, you were really you were hurting me inside, baby.
I was going for the kill.
Like Joel, huh?
Okay. All right, folks. So that is it for the Arachnophobia review. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank the great panel, of course. You all guys have been great. What a great and lively discussion has been with the great Jay Rent 2000, and of course, Mr. Jeff Sloboda, aka TrueKnowledge, of course, up in the house on the panel. And of course, we got to give our plugs before we get out of here. Do you have anything coming up, Mr. Jay Rent? And where can they find you?
All right, guys. Well, if you don't know, I do have my own show, A Podcast Odyssey. It's on Facebook, Jay Rent 2000's Podcast Odyssey, because I'm Jay Rent 2000. Typically, I've done movie reviews. I've been doing a lot lately of like conspiracy theories or just specific topics. Of like technology things or scientific things, just things that kind of make you think or create a conversation. Again, find me on Facebook. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Apple. You can actually probably find me in any podcast platform. If you just type it up and look for it, you might find something in there that'll help you sleep too. So if you're bored at night, just go play it. Maybe it's just dull enough, it'll help you go to sleep. So check it out.
Excellent. Thank you. And of course, you can always find me under Cyberneticshark under pretty much anywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I have all that great stuff going on. I just put up my Flash review. So if you haven't seen the Flash yet or have seen the Flash, go check out that review. It's a really fun film. I enjoyed talking about it. And I will soon have some more wonderful videos up for you guys. Definitely a Craven the Hunter trailer reaction coming soon. Hopefully, me and Jeff will get together and do that trailer for you guys too as well.
Yes.
And because that was a fantastic trailer. Can't wait to see that in October. It's going to be a great film. If you haven't checked out my Oppenheimer or my Dune Part 2 reaction, definitely go check those out too. Or of course, Transformers, Rise of the Beast, or Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Definitely go check out those reviews as well. And just gonna keep rocking it. I believe I'm still at 674. No change really. And like I said, my birthday is next Tuesday, so let's at least get to 700 by my birthday next Tuesday. People.
All right, awesome.
I'll write that down.
Next Tuesday. That's 4 days from now.
Tuesday the 27th. Oh, yes, people.
How old are you turning?
Oh.
Well, Cyber's my son, Joey, so he's actually younger than me.
Oh, no. Oh, good God.
Fine. You don't have to tell us. I'll look it up for your profile.
I'm turning old. That's what I'm turning.
Oh, man.
I'm turning the age of ages. Now, it's in the 40s. We're in the 40s here, me, myself, and I. Yeah, so yeah, we're turning another edition of the 40s, people. So yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes. And what do you got coming up, Sir Jeffrey, on the upcoming shows? And of course, next week we'll be discussing Secret Invasion, episode 2 on Wednesday night. I'll be moderating that. And then next Friday we'll be doing Casino, and Mr. Jeff will be moderating that one.
I'm looking forward. I'm really excited for that. I really am. I cannot wait. I have not watched the film in a long time. It's good. That movie has a stellar cast. Stellar cast. It really is a stellar movie. And I just love Robert De Niro in the movie, man. And Sharon Stone just kills it. She kills it. It's probably her best actual serious performance ever. Where she really is just not, she's not a slut. She's not naked the whole fucking time. She's actually acting.
Thanks.
Seriously, I mean, no, didn't she get, I think she got nominated for for an Oscar for the best supporting actress for the film. She did. She deserved it. She's really good in the movie. She is. And so's fucking, what's his name, that plays her pimp or whatever, whatnot, her pimp boyfriend. God, what the hell? I forget his name now. You know who I'm talking about, Cyber.
Robert De Niro or Joe Pesci?
No. The pimp boyfriend that De Niro has to pay off almost to right? That she's involved with.
I have never seen the film actually.
Oh, you know what? It's what's his name? I know he's a favorite of both mine and yours.
James Wood.
James Woods, yes. Yep. Mr. Family Guy himself. James Woods. Yes. He plays the pimp boyfriend of Sharon Stone's character. And they're like crackheads.
Nice.
Yes, they're not crackheads, they're cokeheads. Then crack was not involved at that point. Or mate. But no, and then I'm doing the first part of the Andor. Finally doing the season 1 recap and breakdown that I've been wanting to do for months. I've been waiting to line up fucking the right people to finally just talk, full out talk Andor. Well, 3 Sundays in a row, nothing but Andor, baby. Just full on discussion on Andor. Can't wait. Oh,
wow, I can't believe that it only got 1 Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. That was the only nomination it got.
Oh, Casino?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, Pesci should have got award. Should have been recognized. That was probably his last really dominating performance. Probably that film. After that, I don't think he ever really reached those kind of levels again. Goodfellas and that is what really made him. That and My Cousin Vinny.
Yep. Let's get out of here so we can let J Rent go.
No, most definitely, folks. I will save my massage parlor plugs for next week. And first episode of the MCU'S Bleeding Edge report on Monday, covering fandom, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, just covering basic fandom news and rumors and leaks and shit and whatnot across the board. DCU, Marvel, whatever. Anything fandom.
Tight.
That's it. Right? So in the meantime, folks, we love you. J-Rat, we love you, brothers. Good to have the squad.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me guys again to be on the show. Enjoyed it. It was a good conversation. Good little talk to.
Yeah, it was a good conversation. You made a lot of good points, Joe. You did. You killed up the panel tonight, baby. You got it, baby. You got it.
Just get different. It's all about different perspectives, you know. So I'm here just to look at it from this side. You look at it from this side. I look at it from this side.
That's right, baby. I feel you, man.
In this case, it's three sides. It's like I'll look at it from this side, and you're looking at it over here, and Cyber's looking at it from over here. We're getting a good 360 of this bad boy.
I'm just looking in one direction, personally, but this is me though.
Just the one direction that you look at it is all that matters.
And I'm just plugging them because they're my favorite band.
Just let a man breathe and just hush so my mind could just cease, so my mind don't erupt. At times I feel I can't get enough, but I sip a double cup and I spill a couple